Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today's video is going to be a little bit raunchy, okay? So for anybody with weak constitutions, you might want to sit this one out. Frankly, we are talking about the famous Walmart crapper known as TheQuartering, the shartening, whoever you want to call him. Now, normally I wouldn't really just recently jump into making these kind of videos. The internet controversy side of things hasn't really been exciting me as much. And the thing is normally I'm more interested in hacks and crazy other stuff like that. But I'm a YouTuber, and one of the most important things about being a YouTuber is making sure that this platform isn't necessarily abused. For years, ever since I started this channel, I've talked about scammers, I've talked about people that have filed false DMCA strikes, individuals like Quantum TV that made a complete ass of themselves. And one ass that I cannot stop seeing on the internet is a guy called TheQuartering. Now, you may remember TheQuartering probably from like years ago. He made a whole bunch of like content centered around anti-SJW shit and whatnot. But the reality of it is that it turns out that TheQuartering might have actually used back-channel connections to remove internet videos that were critical of him and his stupid little life. So I want to start off by kind of going over these actual allegations and why I think it doesn't really paint him in that great of a light, okay? I think as YouTubers, no matter who you are, you shouldn't be okay with people who are abusing systems like this. So anyways, how did this all kind of start? Well, there's a channel on the internet known as the Kino Casino. Now, if you go to the Kino Casino's YouTube channel, it is actually 100% completely violated off of YouTube's platform. In fact, if you look for it, it's gone. The Kino Casino is this like internet live stream where two hosts, Andy Worski, who you probably remember from Super back in the day, is the internet's like favorite cokehead. You know, he actually got his life together, cleaned up a little bit, and started hosting this really popular stream. His co-host, PPP, who you may actually remember all the way from back in the day as somebody who gave like internet sermons. Yeah, and also, by the way, is so chalant and non-fuck giving at this point that he actually showed his like pooper on the internet. Like, these are two people that are actual trolls, okay? They go, whoa buddy, he's fat, he's weird on the internet. To give you an example, when iDubbbz in his infinite wisdom decided to respond to the Kino Casino and bring these guys up by name, this was their response. This is what I'm telling you, even they'll tell you, just don't respond. This is the dumbest thing you can do. Of course, Jeremy was their target for, honestly, months at this point. And a lot of it happened because of Jeremy's past sort of surfacing up, and a lot of interesting aspects getting uncovered, especially considering he's a super conservative Christian guy. We'll get to all this in a bit. So anyways, it seems like TheQuartering was getting real tired of that shit, ladies and gentlemen. And he made some statements that don't really bode well for his case. So, Your Honor, please bring up Exhibit A. Did TheQuartering use his mafia connections to remove channels? So, for instance, in this DM between, from what I understand, Quartering and Joshua Moon, the guy that runs the internet infamous site known as the Kiwi Farms. We'll get to that in a bit. So in this case, Joshua Moon says, yeah, I know nobody likes a Randall, though I still don't think they cross any red lines in modern era Kick or even YouTube. And to be fair, if you don't know the Kino Casino, if you're the kind of person that unironically uses like trigger warnings, this is not me being rude to you. Like if you actually go and mute words because you find that shit too triggering, their show is kind of reflective of like early 4chan, like the old internet, where anything used to go, okay? You could say whatever the fuck you want, but from my at least understanding, I didn't watch every single video on YouTube. They did a pretty good job of staying within, but still skirting the YouTube's terms of service. So ultimately, TheQuartering over here is like, yeah, it's never been an issue until people started spamming my wife. I literally don't care that they make fun of me. Like, her family has seen this shit. We'll talk about this shit in a bit. Unofficial truths. They delete the videos attacking our marriage. I never mention them again. The more they do it, the more I want to flex my connections to bury them. This is a one-time offer. They can meme on anyone else they want. I don't care if they meme on my friend, we'll get to all this in a bit, who apparently has a questionable past. This is an exploding offer. If they want to go to war, I will win. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, what comes down over here is basically he said that he's got connections to bury these people, okay? Whether it be legally, whether it be shutting down their fucking channel. So of course, more information started kind of coming out over here, and it wasn't necessarily great. In a fit of drunken stupor, Jeremy goes, "First will be your YouTube," which is in violation of ban evasion. And that's not necessarily true, because Andy's channel, which was banned at one point, actually did come back through YouTube's, like, the actual appeals process. But that actually got taken down alongside the Kino Casino channel. So pay attention to these dates. 5th of April. I literally begged you two to be reasonable. What a bitch. I tried everything. You chose this. All I'd wanted was to let you guys dunk on me. Well, it turns out the dunkening wasn't in fact happening. That dunkening stopped when actually the Kino Casino channel a few days later was completely removed around April the 10th. So not exactly a great situation. And of course, there was more evidence as well in this situation. Now, in another message between TheQuartering and the Josh Moon fella, obviously, TheQuartering goes, "Josh, can we agree? I can take their kick in YouTube, right? If they actually wanted to, they would be deplatformed outside of DLive in a week. I don't want that. I just want them to leave my family alone. I don't care how many Jeremy's a cuck videos they put out. Like, I have a non-budget YouTube rep. You know that, right? One phone call gone. I have endured a lot with literally the tiniest request." So, again, it's a pretty, obviously there's no hard and fast evidence, and people like Jeremy have been putting night and day into showing their channel's reporting history, which have been debunked because people have looked at Jeremy's autocorrect on his YouTube search and have seen, in fact, that he does file fucking reports on his channel. Now, these could be completely unrelated, but again, this is a charitability that Jeremy would never extend to anybody that he has a disagreement with. And given all of the context we've seen so far, it's hard for me to believe that he's not out there flagging other channels. But this singular flag wouldn't do anything. It's that back-end, according to him, non-Pajit connection. By the way, I hope YouTube doesn't flag me because I am actually Indian. I think I should be allowed to say the P word, right? Like, that's how it works. Now, the reality of it is that, look, listen, with all of his statements leading up to this, it is very reasonable for somebody to assume almost 100% that the person behind channel removing was actually Jeremy. And a lot of this happened because Jeremy just couldn't handle the heat. And the reason I'm also talking about this too is because when you're a channel that has basically made a shit ton of content crapping on other individuals, I mean, half this guy's like internet like history is him shitting on people like Brie fucking Larson. You know, if Brie Larson was to like fart inside a children's hospital, he'd call it biological warfare. And the reality of it is he's made so much content on her, and she hasn't done a single thing. She's also a YouTuber. She hasn't reached out to her management corporation. She hasn't reached out to anybody that would obviously also have a connected YouTube and shut this down. So he's been crapping on her for years. But the moment two Canadians start crapping on him for shit that he's publicly said and posted online, he's going to immediately jump to the point where he wants to completely shut down their channels, as he stated in those posts. Like, it's rules for thee, not for me. That's how insane and brain dead his fucking channel is, okay? You know, I've actually never met a TheQuartering fan. Like, I feel like if I ever met one, the first thing I'd be like, what are you fucking special? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, that's the reality of the people watching. He makes fucking boomer slop for individuals. Jeremy does this thing where he shows off his, like, other various channels, but the guy has, like, 15 channels on YouTube. He's got, like, Unsleeved Media, TheQuartering, Jeremy Hambley. We have no idea what he's actually done behind the scenes. He's not really provided any form of concrete refutation in his defense. So what kind of stuff did Jeremy not want the average person to find out on the internet? Well, let's dig a little bit deeper there, shall we? So on this website called the Kiwi Farms, which basically is this gossip forum for the internet, you know, any celebrity, any internet and personality you can find, they have a thread on there, okay? They talk about Elon Musk, they talk about Jeremy, they talk about me, they talk about anybody, okay? It is what it is. Now, the reality is, if you're somebody that should have enough thick skin, you should probably ignore the kinds of people on this site, right? But Jeremy, with his activities, attracted somebody known as Return of the Mac and Cheese. So he whips out the Ingram Mac 11 and just fucking goes to town. And of course, he starts pointing out some rather crazy conspiracies. Stuff that kind of breaks the house of cards, if you will. So Return of the Mac and Cheese posts possible evidence that TheQuartering is in fact in an open relationship. So again, TheQuartering makes these kind of posts where he's like, the reason I don't attend IRL conservative events very often is because of what I saw from Jack Posebek or whatever, however you pronounce the last name, okay? And his brother had won one of the few IRL events I ever attended. It shattered the online persona I'd come to respect. Him, his brother, and a sex cult woman. All while he proudly just tells, like, his co-host that, you know, he actually knew people in, like, sex cults, like Nexium or whatever.
Watching a documentary or a video that's out right now on the Nexium cult, the NXIV or whatever. And
I know two of the people that were in that.
Really?
Yeah,
okay,
I interviewed one of them. One of them's been to my house.
Yeah. So you dabbled?
I didn't dabble in the cult, but I know all about it from the inside.
I like how he's obviously trying to flex his connection to this co-host he has, but it's like, you know, you hate this whole sex cult thing on one end, but you're so close to some people in this cult that they've, I guess, been to your house. Like, weird shit to come out with, Jeremy. So again, I don't think he really cares that much. But anyways, he starts talking about, I saw this Jack fella parade around a woman from a sex cult at the only live event I was ever at. Maybe I'll tell that story. Behind a paywall, of course. I took down Jack Murphy. Jack Murphy being this, like, I guess, cuck guy or whatever back in the day, like this alpha dude that ended up being caught out for, you know, cuckoldry or any of that nonsense. Now, of course, for anybody watching this that doesn't know what cuckolding is like basically the I guess, relationship dynamic where you and your partner or you or your wife, basically you as a guy sit in like a chair, you watch your wife get banged by another dude, and you're just sort of sitting over there, you know, fucking enjoying your time. It's a weird open like relationship thing. I don't get it, but I guess people do it. But it's actually really bad for people like TheQuartering because they're kind of these like alpha, conservative, wannabe like Christian dudes, which completely goes against their like actual like image that they're portraying to the world, right? So one of the guys that apparently gets like brought out is not Quartering, but actually one of his IRL friends. So in a message with Sydney Watson, she was like, anyone's got good solution for dealing with mosquitoes? At this point, where sitting outside is miserable. So he's like, if you message me, I have an all-natural solution. You can make that worked up in the deep north Wisconsin woods. Now, this guy is called Grape Gel, and so this handle is rather important because what we're about to talk about is some really shitty OPSEC. This same handle was actually spotted in apparently Jeremy's like Discord, where he was given a special title called TheQuartering Legend. Now, of course, the further you go down into here, he tells TheQuartering via Discord that he's going to show up at their house. Now, unfortunately, some of the stuff isn't necessarily available because of maintenance or capacity issues. So not everything is something that I can pull up for you, but the reason I'm showing it from here is because these have been archived, and this is the stuff that this man is actually harming the entire YouTube platform over. Because allegedly, he might actually be like a cuck. Now, it turns out that according to some of these screenshots over here, which I cannot show you because they come from an NSFW subreddit called Wisconsin Bulls. Now, no, this is not anything to do with a sports team. A bull in this case is a guy that fucks your wife in a cuckold relationship. So this same account was just walking around this internet, this subreddit, talking to various cuckolding communities, hot wives and whatnot. Hot wives, for anybody that doesn't know, and I really didn't know this before like researching this, but that's what you call like the chick in the cuckold relationship getting done, okay? So anyways, yes, this man was all over there, okay? So you go for, this is your boy. They found your boy. So then, obviously, people started looking deeper into some of his statements, and this is what Quartering had to say about the swinging lifestyle.
Right? Like, he's got some STD, or clearly he's taking a part in that lifestyle. You know, in my experience, I've never taken part in this lifestyle.
My experience, hold on, brain recorrect. Hold on, alcohol's wearing off. I've never taken part in this lifestyle. Wait, what? Hold on a minute. You know, there's Freudian slips for a reason, I'm just saying.
But I know I have friends who have, and then obviously I've covered people who have, you know, swingers. They always end up messed up.
Oh, yeah.
They fool themselves. Like, I always watch like those trash TV shows. Like,
they probably started messed up, and that's how they
start messed up. Anyway. They convince themselves, oh, it's saving my marriage. And then the media tries to push this thing. They call it, instead of cucking now, they call it hot wifing.
I love how, like, his co-host, like, you've got, like, Melanie Mack over here, who's so fucking intellectually barren that she nearly died at one point from, like, eating sticks of butter and shit. like, what are you fucking special? And then you've got this, like, middle, like co-host called Hannah Claire. And like, she always looks like she has just like every aspect of death in her face. Like she is just deathly afraid of pissing off her boss, her meal ticket. Because let's be real with her, like these two co-hosts would not be able to do fucking dick if it wasn't for, apparently, allegedly, of course, TheQuartering paying for their existence, okay? Ultimately, at the end of the day, people like Hannah Claire are giving us like literally Stockholm Syndrome faces because she knows that outside of this, she really doesn't have like any form of like ability to like make the money that you would be at TheQuartering. So they're kind of like stuck by this guy, even though that he's pretty much nearly been confirmed for harming the YouTube ecosystem. Like I had mentioned earlier, right? It's very difficult for somebody to logically reconcile that this person wasn't behind channel terminations because he didn't appreciate people sharing the information about his personal life. That, again, if this was anybody else, remember, if this was like a fucking iDubbbz in this situation, Quartering would have made probably video number 15 by the time I finished this sentence, shitting on that person, okay? So, again, it's rules for thee, not for me, especially when it comes to this fucking guy. Now, again, to show you how much of a Christian conservative man this person is, I want you to listen to a clip like this, okay? Mind you, he said that his wife is getting undue attention through this whole process.
Adam, bro, bring your fucking wife's big old boobs and bring her over to our house. I want you to meet my German Shepherds.
I'm going to be completely real with you guys. I think the closest he's been to Christianity is maybe sitting next to a Gideon Bible in the hotel room. You know, I just don't understand what kind of a relationship, what respect does a man like this have for his wife when he's just telling his buddy Adam to come over and bring his wife with big old boobs and get into the hot tub. Again, a lot of people, none of this has actually been like confirmed in any capacity. I don't want you guys to sit there and think that this is actually a real situation. Like he's actually 100%, legally confirmed a cuckold. A lot of these are actual just internet allegations, and it's the same sort of banter that he himself constantly engages in. The reality of it is that obviously a lot of these things people look at and they wonder, what is wrong with this guy? Like for somebody that wants to accept like this whole Christian lifestyle, this conservative shit going on, and this I'm a super trad guy, and then you're just saying this to another dude's friend. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I said this about somebody else, if somebody said this about my wife, it's like, Muda, bring you and your wife over. Bring her big old boobs. Motherfucker's head would be through a wall, okay? And I would expect the same to me. Like, what kind of a weird connection do you have? I don't know if this is Jer talking or if it's Jack Daniels talking. Now, the bull in this case, it turns out that more people started to look into him because, again, Streisand effect. The more you try to take something down, the more people look in. So it turns out the possibility for this bull, after a divorce or restraining order got pushed in, was one that mentioned something around domestic abuse and harassment. So people started to look into this even further, and they found that maybe the bull, beyond just being a fucking degenerate, might actually be somebody that is possibly violent or a criminal, or somebody that could be harmful to like women in general. Now again, ultimately at the end of the day, I don't really care about somebody's personal, private relationship. But at the end of the day, if you're making this stuff public because you talk about it all the fucking time on the internet, who is to actually blame? Is it the internet for making fun of you? Or is it you for posting that shit in the first place? You gotta learn to take some basic accountability here, Jer. Simple as that. Now, again, I wouldn't really be talking so much about this if it wasn't for the fact that he was flexing his non-Pajit connection. So surprisingly, in this case, a lot of people have put together entire tools to help analyze Jer's online content. So for instance, using jeralizer.pages.dev, allowing you to look up words through entire transcripts, you can find interesting catalogs where Jer mentions poop over 500 times throughout his entire YouTube channel. He just talks about poop maps, poopsie, earthquake poops. Jer has a real poop obsession, which I wonder why he's so against a possible Pajit YouTube rep. Pajit in this case is a derogatory term for the Indian people in this case. Because Jeremy is very spiritually Calcuttan in a lot of his ways too. Like, for instance, one of the clips that I saw, and this is why people make fun of him. For instance, I didn't see this before today, but this is a guy known as Shark Bites who uploaded this like 29-minute video going over Jeremy's infamous Walmart incident, okay? So to show you what's going on, I'm gonna let Jer speak for himself. Listen to this really carefully.
Getting avocados, and then I felt it like
You're buying avocados with your wife?
I was at that time. I was picking
100% beta.
So I'm like looking for avocados, and then it's like, oh shit, it's time, and my mind immediately goes in like slow motion where I'm doing the calculation. I realize at this moment that there's a real possibility I might shit my pants.
Jeremy fails to do something that most people learn by the age of 6, which is actually figuring out when their bowel movements are about to kick and running to the fucking toilet. This story is so bad that apparently it seems like Jeremy was running around with crapped briefs all over Walmart to the point where this guy draws a fucking map and starts forensically auditing his path. Like, he's got the whole clothes aisle and everything. He's figured out the grocery department, the fucking possible, like, relief points. And he's, like, drawing Jer running around the place. It's such a stupid story. And it's one of the few things that people were, like, latching on to make fun of it. Because Jer has this habit of saying the dumbest shit the entire time. And of course, this is what people latch on and talk about. Now, one of the pieces of evidence I didn't talk about was even when you look at Jer's like reporting history, some people were looking through his streams and watching every time he enters something into the search address bar of his computer, they would look at his like last entry. So basically the autocomplete or like the history of what he searched for on the internet. And some of that stuff revealed that he probably was just filing reports. Jer is such a bad guy when it comes to OPSEC, especially when he's somebody that is purported to have so much intelligence in the topic that he was even willing to educate people on removing files that anybody could access even after they were deleted. Jer, I'm gonna tell you an idea over here, okay? I know you're lazy. I know you use a Chromium-based browser. Here's a little like settings pane. Just go to like more tools and add a new profile. Then you'll avoid embarrassing incidents like the Reddit forced cream pie incident. You might be like, whoa, what the fuck are you talking about, Muda? No, literally, I mean it. Like, he goes into this web browser, he types in the words R, and after Ruby Rose comes Reddit forced cream pie. Like, bro, not even like EDD. It just straight goes to like Reddit forced cream pie. He doesn't even like write forced cream pie first and then Reddit. He's just like, he knows. He's like full Reddit coon brain that goes right in there. Now, for the sake of research, I do a lot of research in my videos, but one thing I refuse to look at is what a forced fucking cream pie is, okay? It sounds degenerate as fuck, and I ain't going down that road. I ain't Jeremy, brother. Now, of course, obviously, when it comes to Jeremy's, like, YouTube connections, he definitely likes to, like, cope about a lot of his, like, channel. And one of the things you can dig up, and again, thanks to the Geralizer here, I was able to look up YouTube rep, and he definitely claims his YouTube rep is not a Durka guy. So I don't know if it's like a fucking, I don't know what he hates that week, like if it's a Pajit, if it's a Durka guy, like he's just like throwing his like hatred on every cylinder. It's really cringe. But listen to this shit.
It wasn't just the money that dropped, it was the views.
Right.
And it was like, I have like a real YouTube rep, not a Durka guy. And like, I was like, what the fuck, bro? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you mean to tell me Tim Pool's uploading videos and getting 30,000 views and you're telling me nothing's wrong?
Right.
Like, yeah. I went from getting 150K views, or 100 to 150K views consistently. Sure, I'd have a stinker.
There's
like
been an algorithm shift.
I love when they do the algorithm shift cope. It's like the same cope. It's like, no, my wife's going out for pizza without me. No, she's flying with another guy. She couldn't be cheating on me, bro. That's when the cope is too fucking real. Like you just know it's all over, right? Like you just know you're putting your blame on other things. Jeremy is a dying YouTube channel. And here's the thing, a lot of YouTube channels do tend to like fall off. You know, I'll be completely real with you. Even a guy like me, I've fallen off compared to like what, the heights of COVID and stuff. A lot of people have their ebbs and flows. A lot of people reach peaks and they just gradually taper off. Jeremy is not a gradual taperer. He is actually somebody that is conveniently fucking falling apart. And this has led to another big sin, another reason for why I'm making this video. content theft. Now look, I think content theft is really bad, and I'm actually going to ask one of my favorite cuckolds, alleged cuckolds on the internet, why content thievery is bad. Listen to this.
It's like, here, again, what do I see here? A stolen Kill Tony clip, not from Kill Tony. A stolen Marshawn Lynch clip, not from Marshawn Lynch. You know, I mean, this stuff is crazy.
I feel weird being up here because I feel
Let's see, who's this from? Oh,
I feel weird being up here.
It's actually hard to see who stole this. This is from Life of Logos. It's just, they're just stealing it.
Oh my God, Jer, that's so bad. They're stealing shorts from YouTube for financial gains? Surely you jest. So of course, obviously, the reason I showed you that is because Quartering has decided to fall into the same trap. Now, let me walk you through it, okay? This is like worse than somebody like Sniper Wolf was even alleged of, because at least Sniper Wolf can be somewhat entertaining. There are literal cancer diagnoses that are more funny than the fucking Quartering at this point. But again, to look into his channel over here, you might be like, wow, that's doing pretty good, Muda. Look at that, almost 1 million hits a day. Well, if you actually do some basic internet auditing, ladies and gentlemen, it don't look that good. So if you go to his actual channel and you look up the recent views on videos, you can see that he's talking about Asmongold versus Tim Pool, 23. Elon Omar's going to prison, 54,000. Woke Blob's Rage. So the fat black women, he can't even, they're not cutting the views anymore. Random race bait isn't cutting. The Disney shit isn't cutting anymore. You know, Muslim video, that's not even cutting anymore. Obviously, the black fatigue stuff is probably, people are tired of his fatigue. The people are having Quartering fatigue. So obviously, with long-form views this terribly bad, how does he make up for it? Well, if you go to the Shorts tab in this situation, Jeremy has resulted in just straight up downloading everyone else's popular shorts and reposting it on his fucking channel. So I'm going to show you what they look like really quickly, and it'll blow your fucking mind. I swear to God, that shit wasn't intentional, dude. The fucking webpage crashed. He looks like... Okay, dude. Reload. Try that one again.
I've got 3 German Shepherds and they're pretty spoiled, but this dog might be on a different level. Check it out.
He just stole somebody else's shit. It's such a boomer post. Like, look at it. It's like he's got the description. He's got all the shitty hashtags over here. Not a single motherfucking attribution to the post. In fact, I can look through the whole ass thing, and instead of like ever attributing the person, all it does is show like a little stupid subscribe notification bell. Like, what are we doing, Jer? What's going on, man? And again, these are Shorts viewers. He's probably earned like 50 cents off of this, and it doesn't ever translate to long-term viewership because the people that like watch Shorts don't give a fuck about how many black people or Muslims you hate at the end of the day. They're just looking at the dog, okay? After that, it's pretty much done. And this goes par for the course for a lot of his other channels. Like, he does this really shitty thing where in order to make him seem like he's a bigger person than he actually is, he will just go onto his other various channels and do the same short spam that you've seen right here. Just in this video alone, I can do a little joke version of what he's doing too. Hey guys, there's this weird cuckolding situation on the internet. Let me know what you think.
Gia and I could do an excellent on-screen romance where like I'm the best friend. I'm like her best friend, but I pine after her. And then she just keeps banging all these other dudes. And then I'm like all sad. And then she like realizes that I was me all along, and that she comes to, you know, and then she comes to realize it. And then we live happily ever after. Like, I think we could do that. I mean, that's what I think.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. You could put me in the most fucked up CIA black site imaginable, and you would not be able to pull that information out of me. That is fucking sad, dude. But yeah, you know, Jeremy's whole like content grift is kind of dying simply because people are just getting tired of all of this bullshit, right? They're getting tired of like who cares? Like it doesn't hit as hard when you realize the dude yapping about woke blobs it actually ends up looking like fucking this. Like, bro, how are you gonna talk about anybody when you got what's going on here? Like, come on now. Jeremy like just has this look of death inside. I don't understand the hat. Like, make America Charlie Kirk. What do you want America to have a shot in the fucking neck or something? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Now, Jeremy is also really, really intellectual, and this is one of the reasons why you can't really necessarily take his advice to heart. You know, beyond just being like a straight up content thief, he does the other sin of being terribly unfunny and incredibly stupid. So I'm gonna let Jeremy explain his intellectual capacity really quickly, and he'll tell you exactly how dumb he is. So listen to this.
I mean, I know this is kind of a self-own, maybe, but I just don't care because all that I've accomplished speaks for itself. I have not read an entire book in 30 years.
What are you fucking special? Like, you know, and like I wish I could make this shit up, but it gets even worse too. Like, you know, his co-host like comes in and starts talking about like, but you've read the Bible, right? Like, come on, now listen to this shit.
I can't do it.
The Bible, that's it. Like
the Bible, I try to read, but it's super hard for me. Like it's already written.
What translation do you use? Have you tried NLT?
That's one I bought. Yeah, I bought the NLT one.
I read the Bible, but it's really difficult, dude. There's not a lot of Muslims to make fun of in there, dude. There's not a lot of LGBT stuff to rip on. You know, maybe that one chapter, but that's about it. No, actually, I want to, like, he says that it's really difficult, so I want to read it for you guys really quickly. This is the NLT version of Deuteronomy 1. So this is what Jeremy considers to be difficult. These are the words that Moses spoke to all the people of Israel while they were in the wilderness east of the Jordan River. They were camped in the Jordan Valley near Sup, between Paran on one side and Tophel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Di-Shahab on the other. You know, in retrospect, he's probably so soy-brained he thinks this is like Dune references. So, you know, it's not really that difficult to read. I'll be completely honest with you. Like, this is like pre-6th grade reading level. Like, we need to... I don't understand how anybody can take this man seriously on the internet. You know, it's not even just this. There are other case examples of Jeremy being a total fucking idiot on the internet too, which is where he starts like talking about like geopolitics. Now, I don't talk about geopolitics because I'm a fucking idiot. I talk about AI and I talk about computer viruses because I can explain that shit relatively well. Jeremy is somebody that has been talking about Iran since the war started, and he is unfortunately unable to identify where Iran is on the fucking map. So I have to mute this because the Kino Casino is kind of really loud over here, but he pulls up this naval like traffic map of everything going on. And of course you've got Quartering and you got Hannah Claire over here. Now, she's not much better in this situation because she's not really there to, as far as I know, correct Jeremy on this. But Jeremy is trying to find the Strait of Hormuz, and he is so intellectually void that he's literally in Southeast Asia. He's in Australia, for crying out loud. He fucking warps to South America. Jeremy, it's the Middle East, okay? It's not even difficult. Like, it's in the fucking name, bro, okay? Like, it's not like we're asking him to identify, like, some fucking random, like, 4th tier, like, ex-Soviet bloc country. Bro, it's Iran. You've been talking about it for weeks, months now, okay? You've been talking about it. How can you not identify it on the map? It's like, this is your political expertise, sire. Please enjoy it. How PPP would like raise the fucking golden dome and be like, here's your political slop, sir. Enjoy it. He can't even find it, okay? In PPP's own words, Andy Warski could find Iran on a map. I'm not even joking. I'm sure most of you guys could probably found Iran on a map before this political expert. The reality is, Quartering's channel is dying, and he has to use this like short crap to boost his channel metrics, so he doesn't get completely embarrassed on the internet because he's a very vain individual. The reality is, he's boring, okay? That's the problem. You know, a lot of people have made Quartering bad videos, and it's always just some stupid, like, fucking essay artist shit where somebody's like, the Quartering has said something really naughty on the internet. He's made quite a lot of crass comments. Bro, that's fucking boring. That's why you gotta make jokes, okay? And in Quartering's case, it's not that the conservative media or the algorithm is dying. For instance, here's Candace Owens, nearly 6 million subscribers, okay? And if you look carefully into her entire metric, she's killing it on the internet. She's got Myron Gaines, she's got like Norm Finkelstein, she's got everyone. She's fucking killing it right now. And you know what she talks about? The most insane shit imaginable. Oh, that was my mom calling. It's so cute. Candace Owens talks about the most insane shit imaginable. She is so insane. If you actually like listen to what Candace Owens is saying, she is without a doubt one of the wildest people that you can find in the conservative space. Her level of unhinged insaneness goes to the point where she's actually being fucking sued at this moment in time. Sued by the First Lady of France, simply, or at least I believe somebody representing it, simply because she called the First Lady of France a man. She's alleged that the First Lady of France is in fact trans, and this has been pretty defamatory, and that's why a whole lawsuit has started. That's how wild and insane that she is, okay? She's literally called Charlie Kirk's death a fucking conspiracy. This is the level of insane fucking batshittery that is outclassing people like TheQuartering. He's too busy talking about the woke blobs and the LGBT and the fat gay Muslim, but he's not even focusing on what his competition is doing, which is outclassing him in entertainment and insanery. And it's crazy how like even her, like even Candace Owens is able to completely like backbreak this fucking individual when he tries even calling her out. Like, she straight up is like, bro, you can't even fucking read. Like, what are you trying to do? Yap on me? Like, come on now. Now, Jeremy also does this really stupid thing where he cries poverty all the fucking time, too. So he'll talk about things like revenue is down massively for most people I talk to, with views up year over year, or at the end of the golden years. Now, I think you might be at the end of the golden years, Jeremy, because this shit is just nothing but a crashing ship for you. No amount of short stuffing is ever actually going to bring this viewership back to something that is, I guess, sustainable for your insane operation. You know, it's just, there's other funny shit too. Like, for instance, he'll jump into the culture war shit from time to time and be like, let me talk about Welcome to Derry. The effects are amazing. Episode 1 is great. Episode 2, mostly a racism side quest. You know what you're going to get with anything new these days in terms of woke crap. It's here as expected, but it's been above average so far. And of course, this guy's like, the racism side quest is actually canon to the source material, though. The Hanlons, the Black Spot Fire, all part of the book. And he's like, I didn't read the fucking book. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay. Why are you talking on it with such confidence? It doesn't make sense. So as he's talking about, like, you know, poor people call him out, like he'll show that he's building like a RC racetrack, because like a normal like rich person, apparently he can't just have like normal rich people, like he can't go out to play like golf, have a nice dinner here and there, maybe buy like a flashy car and drive it around on a track. No, he's got to build like the RC racetrack on his property. And of course somebody's like, you flaunt your wealth on X, yet you beg poor people to give you money on YouTube and Rumble. You wonder why your viewership is down. You're not genuine and people can see it. Yeah, what a call out. Exactly. And you know, obviously throughout this whole process too, like he makes this whole thing about like, you know guys, I had to take down these channels because my wife was under attack, my poor wife. So, and then he talks about this. He talks like this about a significant other.
There's a guy at work who claimed that vegan vag didn't smell. Well, I can tell you this. My wife has been a vegetarian, and you can tell the difference. Okay? I'm not gonna, you know.
They're going after my wife, guys. Proceeds to talk about her vaginal smell on the internet. Like, brother, you gotta make it make sense. Like, and as somebody that has criticized other people for like the shit that they would get sent while they were being harassed, you know, I think it's fair for people to ask, hey, can you like actually post public proof of these like attacks towards you and your family? And I don't really think these attacks are really all happening, because if your wife, and like you said, you were in danger or something like that, or like people were really going after you, one of your community posts would not be a cope post with your wife that I had to block out of here, because all you have to do is cope post about how the internet's been insane and they've been digging up disgusting rumors. If you feel that your wife is in danger, you as a conservative Christian man should protect your wife and keep her away from this public face while these turbulent times are happening. But Jeremy doesn't care. It's all like a fucking grift for him, okay? Like, he can barely read like the easiest translated version of the Bible, okay? You think he's actually putting any effort into this crap? Get out of here. And, you know, to an extent, even his co-hosts are rather interesting as well, too. Like, you've got people like Melanie Mack, for instance, who is such a Bible head herself, but really the only things I've seen her kind of comment on about Christianity is the gay stuff, is like the sodomy shit. Like, that's really what like her expertise lie in. It's like, how can I use this to be like constantly fucking bigoted on the internet? She's basically trying to be like the Westboro Baptist Church, but just nowhere near as entertaining. It's what happens when you're not an entertaining person. Melanie Mack has never been an entertaining individual, okay? Whenever she was a nice girl or whenever she is now, she has never been an entertaining person, okay? She is literally somebody that has been only able to grift and through that build an audience. Because when you're catering to an audience like, you know, like hardcore Christians, and it goes for like Muslims, it goes for anybody. Once you have this dedicated fan base that you're able to tap into, it's probably one of the easiest ways to succeed. She cannot give an original opinion. Listen to this shit.
It's in verse 11 that says, I meant that you are not to associate, don't associate at all, with anyone who claims to be a believer yet indulges in sexual sin, or is greedy, or worships idols, or is abusive, or is a drunkard, or cheats people.
So is it okay then for you to be friends with a guy that is inviting his buddy and his wife over and telling her big old boobs to come into the hot tub? I just want to understand, which part of the Bible do you actually like listen to and which parts do you just use for internet grifting? I just need to know the answer to that, really. And of course her big thing is just screaming like the F slur and going like hardcore homophobic or whatever. When in reality, it seems like she's married a guy that can't seem to stop talking about gay shit all the time, right? Like he's literally over here saying, that moment you realize your lisp doesn't make you sound like an adorable gay man, but like someone that has had a stroke instead, FML. Now you might be like, Muda, that's from 2013. That's been forever ago. And to be real with you, it's these kind of people that I like to consider chameleons because they don't really have any beliefs themselves. You know, there's people who will say that I'm like a fucking grifter in this situation, and the reality of it is I have to ask, it's like, where? Like, I never ever, like, I actually say what I want to say. And I understand that whenever I want to say something, it'll cause me to lose followers or make people, like, you know, mad. Because I'm not necessarily somebody that's beholden to confirming somebody else's viewpoint, unlike these people right over here. These are incredibly fake individuals, and the reality of it is, them getting laughed at was basically just reality hitting. Now, the thing about it is, honestly, I didn't want to make this whole video because laughing at him was the only intention. Obviously, it's easy to laugh at TheQuartering. The guy basically gives you all the ammunition himself. But the reality of it is that what really angers me about the situation is that it's pretty much confirmed based on his own statements that he has actually went out of his way to attack criticism towards him. Which, look, on YouTube, everyone's going to talk shit about each other, right? Everyone's going to say something. You're always going to have somebody that fucking A-logs you. You're always going to have somebody that talks shit about you on the internet. And the reality of it is that when you look at, like even me, for instance, I've talked, I have exposed and talked mad things about various online influencers. And one thing I'll say is that none of those influencers have ever went out of their way to file a DMCA falsely on my channel. None of them have ever went out, from my knowledge, to actually file like a false privacy claim. Maybe one or two have. I'd have to remember. It's been so long that I've been doing this. But none of them have reached to the back channel, allegedly, of course, and somehow with their own statements have actually caused a channel to go down. You know, it's just insane when you start to see this stuff from somebody that, you know, proudly was on the anti-censorship, like, hey, I don't want people to be canceled, while proudly canceling somebody for exposing him for something he put himself out on the internet. It's just insane shit to see, man. Like, I'd have to ask, like, anybody who's a TheQuartering defender here, it's like, to top this video off with, like, what are you, what are you fucking special?